I think then the only conclusion that the viewers can come out to is that God is essentially in this movie dead. You know what I mean? This is a compelling argument to the aspect of this is not fair. This isn't an all-loving being. This is fucking evil. And so it would have been interesting to see what Sanjay Leela sort of, original script might have been like, because then you can get a bit of a grasp on his own, not beliefs, but the story he wanted to tell in his raw form, right?
Yeah.
Waleska is cooked.
I'm trying so hard.
I'd say for this movie, Alvin, let's just leave this fat review here at the end, because it's really interesting. I think both from an argument perspective, I think from a cinematography perspective,
It was a dream.
we'll address that, and also musically in a bit. But it would have been really interesting to see the raw material of this and how it came to be, because it does seem to be quite a bit of a plot twist. Didn't expect it. Sorry, Mama. I do apologize, mate. I did not want you to start the day like this. I'm very sorry. Mother and Waleska have an uncanny capability to connect to movies and the stories. Actually, another compelling argument for life, in my opinion, to experience art, if for nothing else, to experience someone else's experience. And it's super interesting as well, because the argument of the movie also is that sometimes it only gets darker and you can't find the light. And ironically enough, he only finds the light by fulfilling his wish of death. That's truly when he takes a leap of faith. And weirdly enough, life does play its weird games it plays sometimes, and it liberates the love of his life for once. So what an interesting storyline per se. Yet I think the conclusion, at least from my perspective, is that it's a movie that tries to make probably one of the most compelling arguments, I think, for death. Not essentially euthanasia, but it does try to widen its perspective, right? It's like to certain points, there's other cases, right? In the court cases, there's people trying to also make compelling arguments for it. And I think it was quite wise to sort of go from the perspective of, unique, not uniform. Let's not treat these cases as unique. I am interested in knowing what Indian law would be at the moment in terms of euthanasia.
I don't think it stands. I
probably not. There's not many places where it does. It's such a complicated topic per se. And I think it should be a topic that if you're going to traverse it in a movie, and obviously so straightforward, I think the best way you can do artistically is also play towards the the complexity of the topic in the expression of the art and the story itself.
However, this movie couldn't have ended any other way. It couldn't have ended any
Well, I
other way.
thought the way I thought it was going to end was just he wins the case, great, and a historical moment.
Yes, I thought that was going to be the ending.
Yeah,
However, I do agree with the perspective of this didn't have any other ending. He had to. The only mercy that you could possibly do in the script writing was to liberate him from that suffering. However, personally, so many of my true beliefs and my personal, fundamental, beliefs are so confronted to one another in this film. It's so many things that I go against in my own personal perspectives of life. However, I couldn't agree more with his compelling arguments.
Yeah.
It was such a vivid representation of slight, very subtle suffering. It was such a long lasting sort of compilation of little things that they literally changed and shifted his perspective
So
of
crushing.
life.
So crushing
existence. It was so undignified, and I think the perspective of the beginning of the film to how you traverse halfway through it and how the conclusion of it is a satisfying ending. I don't think sitting in that writer's room could have come up with a better solution.
I mean,
I love the slice of realism. The realism.
Yeah, I thought that was really well done.
With the lack of a court appeal. I to agree to his appeal. I actually like the slice of realism, because everything in the film has been fantastical. In the midst of suffering, you have a face-to-face to fantastic realism that is so very present in the imagery, the musical scores, the additions of jazz. It was a very courageous move to add so many Western influences in this particular song, in this particular film. Also, you have an emotional roller coaster right from the beginning. It's not like you're being taken into a journey that you don't know. You're going to experience all the ups and downs. Like, you know from the start, it is a very complicated development. You will be confronted with your own belief systems, and you will ask yourself questions halfway through the film, and the ideas of what's right and what's wrong, and whether it's is right in the situation, would it be wrong in a generalized perspective. Everything that you could possibly think of, it's so very well laid out in this music score. I think, like we said, in terms of the acting, not to jump in so many topics, it's just I'm so overwhelmed by emotion in this particular film. It really I went into this thinking, oh, I'll just watch the film because I know what the ending is gonna be. There's no other ending, and I just knew that, you know, this is gonna be another Me Before You kind of film. Like, I had the already
Is it similar to
idea. Not even close. Not even close, brother. And that was so wrenching because I read the book, right? When I read the book, it broke me into pieces, and I was sad for months, bro. I just thought it was such an unfair ending. I did. In that case, I think I fought till the end personally with the idea against it. I was like, no, you can live a life. You can love the way. But in this film, they portrayed.
You make such a compelling argument,
the suffering in such a palpable and incomparable measure that I couldn't argue against it. There was no ounce of me that wanted to argue against it.
Yeah, it's interesting as well because I think musically what the film does very well. It's a story about nuance, complexity, and light and darkness, essentially. I actually, interestingly enough, I thought we would see more Mixolydian play here.
So did I.
We did get a bit of a play with the melismatic sort of flamenco arrangement of things, but nothing beyond anything. Well, it wasn't Mixolydian per se. It was all everything was very much straight and narrow, down the pipe. And
however, in its predictability, in its perhaps conventional use of score, he managed some nuances.
Well, I was going to say conventional, yeah, but it plays a lot to its nuances through something that a lot of movies get wrong, which is the experimentation of different genres towards a fan base or a market that maybe usually isn't used to them. It would have been very easy, actually, for some fucking reason to have a pop number here. And I'm very glad that they never went down this way because, there's no room for that. And the commercial number is the Sunil Hichao number. Make no mistake, it's the flamenco number. Great. But it's so congruent and it's so well placed, and it still prevails with the complexities and the, rarity, because that's the movie about, right? This is a rare, bizarre, soul-crushing life and existence, and yours isn't like that, and life isn't like that, but mine is. Hence why I want to be heard. And he's telling his story, and he's telling you one thing, because he cannot abide by the rules that he's preaching. He cannot abide by because his life, different rules, different game. There's no board. He doesn't have a pawn. He can't play. So his life is different. But that has given him some clarity. Hence why you see the orchestral arrangements and the symphonic swells, and then the minor keys progressions to represent the soul crushing and darkness that the guy's fucking going through, and he's being drowned alive, droplet by droplet of rain. And what a fantastic way to do that, through jazz, through flamenco, through Indian classical-esque arrangements sometimes. Yeah. Acting-wise, and I think cinematography-wise, from what I'm reading here as well, he definitely had an obsession with Goa. He wanted to do this. And ironically enough, in terms of music score, just to go back to that, Bhansali, just reading here off of Wikipedia, actually approached Lata Mangeshkar to... used he used her as inspiration for the music score, and he wanted to seek her blessings. During the meeting, Mangeshkar told that she was a big fan of Mansali's films and that she was fortunate to be the source of inspiration behind such talented director's film. She told the media that even I had heard that he makes his fingers hear songs over and over again. He hears his songs, her songs, before making them sing. I've always been a big fan of Sanjay, especially from Black. I remember watching Filmfare Awards of the Year of Black. So that's interesting. He did direct Hrithik to not work out as much or eat as much for, he's playing a paraplegic and wanted things to be quite natural.
That's something I want to praise before we continue into the more technical reviews. I think the brilliance of the chosen actors and actresses for this film, it's really what's driving this to another dimension. I think what really made it an emotional journey, that it was so palpable, was definitely the work on scene that was so organic from both Aishwarya and Hrithik. I think the unspoken communication, the eye contact, the
microexpressions masterclass
throughout it really was something that I loved it in Jodha Akbar. Okay, I love this pair in Jodha Akbar. I thought these two together were are you okay?
Yeah, there you go.
I love this pair in Jodha Akbar. I thought these two together were astronomically perfect. I thought they were the rendition of eternal love, love that surpasses all sort of like crises of whatever. And I really believe that the two of them together in another film, especially a drama film, would be an outstanding performance, because I did think that in that historical drama in Jodha Akbar, a lot of personal responsibility comes to play as an actor, because there is a historical element to it, so there's like a regal sort of essence to it all. However, in this, because it's such a drastic change in characteristics, not only from the physical aspect of it, but in the nuance of the characters and what they demand. The communication between the two is just so delicate, but
fantastic.
It's so incredibly organic, like so believable, like that scene where she erupts into dance, like that felt so natural. It felt right, it felt correct to the scene, it felt correct to the emotional development, it felt right to her character to let her hair down for once. And the idea of exploring the glimmers of light dancing on the slight use of that spotlight, the absolute brilliance of silhouette work and shadow and light throughout the whole film, I think is just such a delicate art. This film is a work of fine movement.
It's interesting as well because I think a lot of people made this movie, work really well from the styling. Like I'm just reading now, the styling department definitely needed a big shout out here.
Definitely.
Because it was amazing to see all the outfits. It seems there was a lot of CGI involved, which I thought was so well placed, because it was originally a church, the house, and all of that stuff, like the decoration. Apparently, a lot of it is CGI.
Awesome.
So very well placed. What a great use of it. Obviously, you have the CGI elements of it for the illusionist section of the movie and stuff. It was a fantastic sort of cinematography, like a cinematic experience. It's the most dramatic, tragic movie I've ever fucking seen in my life.
It's very tragic.
I'm just reading here on Wikipedia. Some people thought it was similar to the 2004 Spanish movie, The Sea Inside.
Oh yeah, of course.
Mar Adentro, de Javier
Mar Adentro.
Bardem.
Uh-huh.
Alejandro Amenábar.
Yeah.
Una película de Alejandro Amenábar.
The real life story of Ramón San Pedro. Yeah.
Amenábar o Amenábar? Oh, Amenábar, yeah, tiene acento. It has an accent. Spanish psychological drama film written and directed by Alejandro Amenábar, who was also produced and scored and edited by him. It is based on the real life story of Ramón San Pedro, who was left quadriplegic after a diving accident, and his 28 years
of age.
age.
Yeah.
Then also the scene sideways are the movies as Whose Life It's Anyway, which is a 1981 American drama film by John
Nice.
Badman.
I guess you could definitely see the similarities. Like they all.
But it's
are
just because of a
tackling the
premise,
same-
right? You saw the
same-
similarities
yeah,
with
the
what?
same premise.
The
Me
book?
Before You.
Me
yeah.
Before You. There's also the diving bell and the butterfly. I
But
mean,
it's uniquely.
it's so unique, though.
Uniquely, something on its own. I think, yeah, I think it's only his in this particular perspective. I
Yeah.
genuinely think this film is so incredibly unique. Yeah.
There was also alleged stuff about a script. There was an original script, and then they decided to settle in court.
Oh wow.
Bansali ended up settling it in court to a writer who is a lyricist. The movie script was based on his own script titled Gunj Uti Chennai. Interesting. Yeah, but I mean, it's an unreal 1951 romance musical. It's a fantastic production. Mohammed Rafi, Lata Mangeshkar, parts of it. Really, really interesting. I am interested on seeing its commercial success.
I do want to see what I
complicated film per se.
It traverses so many difficult arguments in terms of fundamentals. I wonder what the actual representation of people at the time when they went to watch this.
It's one of my favorite cinematography movies we've seen. We do know this was mixed. What do you call it? Niche subject. It's a very niche sort of movie. It is a drama fest, and it wasn't that successful commercially, from what I'm saying here.
People rated at 7.4, 7.5.
No, I'm saying commercially, like in terms of that's IMDb. IMDb is sometimes it's like hit or miss, because some of my favorite movies have like a fucking 3.
I know that.
And then you ask everyone else, and it's like, mate, that movie's sick, and you're like, yeah. So I don't know what they use to sort of judge their movies, but from
This
a
was
first watching
traumatic,
experience,
guys, can I just conclude?
trauma, I guess.
It was traumatic. This was traumatic.
Poor mother.
My
mother's review of it is
I couldn't stop crying.
too much.
she couldn't stop crying.
But I love it.
But she loved it.
There you go.
Wow,
Fantastic.
she loved it.
But yeah, I think interestingly enough, it is sad that this is your introduction to Indian cinema, but it's also awesome that it is, because I think this movie does a lot of things very well.
Here's the thing. I don't think we could have picked a better director to introduce.
Yeah, I
you
think
into
Sanjay
Indian cinema.
Banlali, but Sanjay Banlali Lille.
The whole movie was so beautiful.
Yeah, very beautiful. Yeah, but just a bit too much. Mother's exhausted. Anyways, guys, well, there you have it. That's our extensive review of GUZAARISH, and let us know what you guys thought about it. If there's anything you'd like to add.
Please live happily.
Yeah.
And love fully.
Yeah, and kiss slowly, baby.
And dance.
And I'll see all my Indian mummies in Goa, yeah?
I love you guys so much.
Ah.
This is so pretty, but I'm so sad.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I think if anyone understands this movie as a compelling argument for death, overall, I think
They
you've
have
missed
missed the whole point of the film.
because that even isn't his own perspective on life. I think the movie does such a good job at compelling you and unique case for him, his unique case for him, but such a general argument for life. And what a wonderful world we live in. Yes, with evil, with darkness, but most of life is lived in its nuanced, amidst the shadows, amidst the light and the darkness. It's never that straightforward. But when there are cases in which of pure and utter darkness, I think a lot of these people just want to be heard. And I think it does such a good argument for that. But for the majority of us, and if you've ever wondered if you fall in that majority, that's probably good enough for you to know that you do fall in the majority. It truly is worth living.
Life is pretty, I promise, guys.
And amidst its tomfoolery of the universe, amidst its deep and soul-crushing moments, it's in those moments in which sometimes everything then proceeds to become brighter, and the sun will shine on you again. I always say that because amidst the darkest moments in most people's lives, sometimes all we have is hope. And that you must not let go of, because it's the only thing that will keep you going in such a dark tunnel. but there is an end, and the end should be life. However, what a wonderful story, and what a fantastic sort of a reflection on the nuances of life and death. I wish you all nothing but the best, strength in difficult times. It is the holidays. Sometimes the holidays can be full of brightness and happiness, and other times they can be very sad and dark. We've been in both. And I can confidently speak, and on behalf of my sister, I guess, and as a family, we've seen both sides of the holidays time, and the worst they've ever been, and then the best they've ever been. For that, I have to thank you thoroughly, and for a lot of your fan mail and your stories, and how a lot of these videos have actually helped a lot of you find hope in midst of darkness. Goodbye, guys.